Good evening, Tiger Sports fans, and welcome back to the final episode of Tiger Sports Nation for the spring semester of 2021. I'm Taylor Richardson.
And I'm Jude Hunter. Last week, the Tigers battled NCAC opponents Denison, Ohio Wesleyan, and Kenyon across multiple sporting events. Before we start, we want to thank all of you for tuning in to another episode. We hope that you will give a like, share, or a comment on the episode below.
The men's and women's tennis teams hit the road for a conference matchup against Kenyon last week. Although both squads would be defeated by scores of 8-1 and 7-2, the men's team would later sweep the battling Bishops of Owu by an identical scores of 5-0, as they remain at the top of the NCAC West standings. Women's tennis now sits at 5-9 on the season, whereas the men's team now moves to 7-6.
DePauw's outdoor track and field teams traveled to Terre Haute last week to compete in the Rose-Hulman Friday Night Spikes Series, as both the men's and women's teams finished third place in the event. The women's team recorded 14 individual top 5 finishes on their way to a total of 116 points. Leading the team in individual top 5 finishes was Erin Pash with the help of Charlotte Borland, Annalise Grammel, and Celie Stoffregen. The Tigers broke a 16-year-old school record in the 4x400 meter relay after running it in 3 minutes and 58.12 seconds.
The men's team completed the night with 8 individual top 4 finishes, including a first-place finish in the 4x100 meter relay. The Tigers put up 104.5 points overall to go along with 4 second-place finishes as well. Both teams travel to Ohio Wesleyan next week to compete in the NCAC Conference Championships.
Men's and women's golf traveled to Denison last week to compete in the first round of the NCAC Championship rounds. The women's team currently sits at second place after shooting an opening round of 324. Layla Amadi and Crystal Chan each shot 80 in the opening round to tie for fourth, and the Tigers trail only Denison with a score of 308, going into the final round on May 1st.
The men's team is in fourth after an opening round with a score of 309. Led by James Gilmore, who shot a 73 to finish 8th overall. Denison leads the tournament with a 279, followed closely by Wittenberg and Kenyon. DePauw hopes to build on their performance going into the final round next week.
Women's lacrosse tallied their first NCAA West loss last week after falling 16-5 in the Big Red on the road. Senior Grace Clark would finish the game with a hat trick and an assist, while Emily Naper and Grayson Campbell each added a goal as well. The Tigers moved to 6-4 overall and 4-1 in conference play.
DePauw baseball went 2-3 last week after battling Denison in a series of 5 games. The Tigers swept the Big Red at home by scores of 5-2 and 12-4, but would struggle on the road in the next 3 games with losses of 13-4, 13-3, and 17-1. The baseball team is now 12-17 overall and 5-8 in conference play.
Finally, softball enjoyed another week as they went 4-0 over Denison to extend their win streak to 9 straight. Cami Henry added to her record-breaking season as she tossed the first perfect game in program history in Game 2 of the Tigers doubleheader at Denison. The Tigers won the first 2 games 7-1 and 9-0, as Henry struck out 12 of 15 batters on her way to the second no-hitter of her DePauw career.
Great job to Cami Henry. DePauw completed the sweep with 2 more wins over Denison at home with scores of 5-0 and 6-3. Henry improved to 14-0 after the win, and 7th-ranked DePauw moves to 25-2 overall with an undefeated conference record.
And that is going to conclude this episode of Tiger Sports Nation. Thank you so much to all of our viewers for tuning in for another great episode. We wish you the best of luck to our graduating seniors and hope you all have a successful end of your seasons. If you liked the video, give us a like, share, and comment below. I'm Jude Hunter.
And I'm Taylor Richardson. We'll see you all next semester, Tiger Sports fans. And as always,
Roll Tigs.